Two, one. Okay, we are live. Good evening. This is Attorney Vince Davis, and this is The Secret: How to Fight CPS and Win. And I'm joined by Miss G, Georgette Truin, and apparently Miss G is our co-host, and apparently we have a guest, Mrs. G. So, Mrs. G, how are you?
Doing as well as can be expected given the circumstances.
Okay. Well, let's start off with this, Mrs. G. Um, what county and state are you in?
I am in Wichita County in Texas.
In Texas. What big city is that near? Fort Worth, Dallas, Houston, San
We're a
Antonio?
couple hours north of DFW.
Okay. Now Dallas is in what county?
I can't remember. I'm originally from California, so
And you
I
moved.
can't quite remember.
Okay. How long have you been there in Texas?
About 10 years,
Okay.
a little over 10 years.
So are you having problems right now with CPS in Texas?
Yeah,
Well, why don't you
unfortunately.
tell us a little bit about what's going on there in Texas?
It started off with my oldest daughter, or my daughter, um, 10 years old at the time, was at school and did not get off the bus after
Did
school.
not did not what?
Didn't get off the bus after school
Okay.
on in April. Now we called the school. She was on the late bus, so there wasn't very many people there. We called the school, we called the bus, we called everyone. I sent family up there because I was at home with my now 4-year-old. We could not find her. Someone from the school said, "Oh, her dad picked her up early." Well, that was not true. He was at work. Come to find out, after I filed a missing persons report, that CPS had it, picked her up from school. So I finally got down to CPS, and my biggest mistake was not recording what they told me.
Okay, Mr. G, hold on a second right there. When did this happen? What month and year are we talking about?
April of last year.
Is it April of last year?
Yeah.
Okay. So let me ask you this. Let's flash forward to this period of time right now. Is the child in your custody?
No.
Okay. So let's go back. You found out that CPS had your child.
Yes.
When you finally find out, did they ever show you a warrant,
No.
court order to pick up your child?
No. They told me to come down and they would talk to me. They wouldn't tell me anything over the phone, and they were very strange about it. It was a very unpleasant situation. When I got there, there was a police officer and a CPS caseworker. They
Okay.
handed me a form. I was distraught because I thought my child had been kidnapped and then she was safe. So my poor little human brain was going in every direction. It was an extremely traumatizing experience. And I should have recorded because they told me, okay, well, the allegations were made by your daughter against her stepfather, your husband, for SA abuse,
For what?
sexual abuse.
Okay. Um, I'm
The
having a
things that
little
they told me,
hold on a
sorry.
second. I'm having a little problem with your audio.
Oh,
Video's great.
We tested the audio before. Is this any better?
Video's great. It sounds like though when you're talking, I can understand most of the words, but it's a little muffled on some parts. And I don't know if you're using a microphone or external or your phone or what you're using.
I have a headset.
Okay. Are you using it from your phone?
Yes, it's Bluetooth.
Okay. If you turned off the Bluetooth and just used your phone, would that be any worse or better?
We can go ahead and try that real quick.
Is this better?
Oh, 100 times better.
I tested the audio previous. Let me just put these back in the case real quick. Yeah, so they told me you can record or not, but I was distraught.
Okay, so they actually gave you the opportunity to record.
Yes.
Okay. Something
Biggest
that
regret I have.
and what did they tell you that you wished you recorded?
They told me the supposed allegations that he would touch her under her swimsuit. Now, we don't have a pool. She doesn't have a swimsuit. And I don't let my children, even if they were playing out in the sprinkler or anything like that, to go to bed in a wet swimsuit. If they play outside, they have a bath before bed. It's just hygiene. And at that point in time, my son was 3, and his bed was in my room because he would wake up frequently. So I'm a very late sleeper. I would get up with my son. My husband sleeps like the dead. He does not wake up to hardly anything. He can just snore away like a sawmill. So I sleep on the outside of the bed and he sleeps next to the wall. Nothing they said made sense due to my circumstances. You can open a soda on one side of the house and hear it on the other.
Well, who was making these allegations?
Apparently, my daughter had said these things were happening.
How old
And
was how old was your daughter at the time?
10.
Okay. Um, are you and
11?
the fa- are
Anyway,
you and the fa- are you and the father still living together?
yes.
Okay. So I assume at some point there was a trial and the judge found these allegations to be true. Is that correct?
He has not been brought to trial.
Okay. Under most circumstances, the time period to bring the case to trial has far expired.
It's been
Wouldn't-
separated into 2 separate cases, apparently. I have gone to court multiple times. They had accused me of being criminally negligent, but they cleared my son. They cleared me of any wrongdoing with my son. And the same with my husband. My husband has a criminal case, but I have a family court case. We can't afford 2 lawyers. I've had to learn the Texas family code and represent myself.
Now, when you say family code, you mean the CPS laws?
However, they have it worded for Texas.
Okay, so
When
so
we
there's
search it, when we have to pull it up, it's under the Texas family code.
okay. And you've been representing yourself. Texas won't give you a free attorney?
Correct. We
Really?
make too much.
Usually they'll still give you an attorney and you'll be responsible to pay them back.
They said I
Isn't it?
had to find one myself, and I can't afford it.
But what do you mean you make too much? What do you mean by that?
My husband apparently makes too much. Exactly. We're supporting his mother and her partner
Mhm,
because they are disabled.
mhm.
So Yeah, even with all of my expenses that I have turned in every single month, we make too much.
Have you appealed the court's decision not to give you a free lawyer?
They didn't give me paperwork until recently saying that I could when it was too late. There are a lot of inconsistencies with my case, and we are at our wits' end. At this point, we are doing everything we can to get my daughter transferred to my mom in California, her biological grandmother. My
So
mom
what
has gone through everything to actually become a legal foster parent in California because that's what she was told she had to do. We are at, today is day 100 of the final form. We turned it in 100 days ago to the specific agency in Texas that does the CPS background check. My mom's roommate moved from Texas to California to help my mom care for my daughter. The one form is to make sure that my mom's roommate has not had a CPS case against her in the last 2 years. They told us that it was 95 to 100 days to process this form. Today was day 100.
you may want to consider filing a complaint with the Department of Health and Human Services in Washington, D.C., who controls all CPS money nationwide, and also with the Department of Justice Civil Rights Division, because apparently you're not getting the type of results that it sounds like you're entitled to. And
No.
it seems like you're getting the runaround big time.
We haven't actually dealt with CPS for quite a few months, other than when someone decided to take information from the original complaint and say it was new information and to check my son. But they found that that was not true. They sent someone out a couple of months ago.
Is your son living with you now?
Yes.
With
They
And how
removed
old-
my daughter, but not my son.
Okay, so we were all talking at that point. I didn't hear what you said.
They removed my daughter, but not my son.
How old's your
He
son?
just turned 4 in October.
Okay. Is there any reason why you think that your daughter is saying these things?
There's some psychological or behavioral health problems that we were aware of, and through the pandemic, it was extremely difficult to get her care. Foster family has seen this, that she has some difficulties. They have taken her to the physician. They have attempted to get her treated for ADHD. And recently, she had been argumentative, and they had her stay with someone else for a weekend because they needed a break.
Has she made any
She
false
made an
allegations?
She did this before with a child on the bus, a 16-year-old boy, about a year, maybe 2 before this happened. They have video on the bus. She still, to this day, never recanted. The bus video shows it was false. The boy was nowhere near her.
Did that come into evidence at your trial or court hearing?
They refused to take it. They've told me she's just projecting or something similar to that. The terminology has changed a few times.
I want to make sure that you are using terms correctly. When you say they rejected it, who's they?
The attorney at Lytton for my daughter, as well as the 2 engaged caseworkers that I deal with. We don't deal directly with CPS in Texas.
What did the judge say
The judge has had a lot to say.
about
Multiple
that
times.
about that evidence? The videotape on the bus.
They haven't pulled it. That's never been brought in.
Mhm.
I've been told that that's not important.
Why hasn't your lawyer or you presented that evidence to the judge?
I don't have a lawyer, and I haven't been able to get it from the school.
Okay, do you know what a subpoena is?
Vaguely.
Okay. So
I
this
don't
is
know
one
how to
of
go about getting that so I can get the record from the school.
okay. So this is the problem of a very intelligent parent who's trying to represent herself in the juvenile court, because apparently in Texas they don't give you a court-appointed attorney unless they think you can't afford it, which is kind of interesting because the law in a lot of states, including California, is we're going to give you a lawyer no matter what, and if we find that you're financially able, we'll make you pay us back. You see the
That was my
difference in that?
understanding.
Yeah, you
But
see the
yeah,
difference in that? Yeah,
there's a glaring difference there,
yeah.
unfortunately.
So, I guess lesson number one is you can't
Record when
win.
they say please record.
Well, you can't win without a lawyer
Yeah,
because you don't even know the ground rules. Your most important piece of evidence, you don't even know how to get it in front of the judge.
correct.
I mean, I'm almost not surprised because it's Texas, but
Oh, on
Miss
top of that, they've misallocated resources numerous times with making me do classes and courses and drug assessments and multiple drug tests, including a hair test. Those were fun. Um, the
Miss
poor
G,
lady, the poor
hold on a
lady
second.
told me you don't have a drug problem. Why are you here?
Hold on a second. Miss G, I saw you raising your hand. What were you going to say?
I was gonna, because you made you told her that that she needs an attorney to win, and even if they did provide her with a court appointed attorney, doesn't mean that she's going to win, because they really don't help parents. So she needs to hire a private attorney in order for
Well,
her to win.
well, I was just saying she's not going to win without a lawyer. That's clear. Okay. What type of lawyer she gets, okay, that's a discussion that we need to have. But she can't even get a court appointed attorney, Miss G. She doesn't. I guess she doesn't qualify in Texas,
Right,
right?
right. In
So she's
Texas,
so she's going to have to hire a private lawyer, but she's telling us because of their financial condition, she can't afford it.
It took us a year to save up for the criminal attorney for my husband, or nearly a year. Sorry, we're at like 9 months-ish.
Well, I have to tell you something that your husband's private criminal attorney is extremely important
Yes,
to your overall family's well-being.
yes.
I'm surprised that that your husband's attorney hasn't tried to take this to trial, because if your daughter has all of these problems, a good defense attorney could, show that at a preliminary hearing or at
I
the
believe
time of
he's
trial.
confident in getting the case dropped completely.
Okay, because there's so
Due
many
to
holes.
the,
There's
yeah, due to the
so many
massive
holes.
inconsistencies.
Yeah, too many holes from what you've just told me.
Yeah,
I mean,
it doesn't
I
make
mean,
sense to anyone.
and one of the biggest holes there is that incident on the school bus with the videotape. I mean, that's
Exactly.
huge. That's huge. And if your husband gets exonerated using evidence like that, in my opinion, the CPS court has some splaining to do with respect
Yes.
to why they didn't consider that evidence.
but
Yeah,
I
unfortunately.
but this happens a lot, Vincent. We talked about this so many times. CPS doesn't like to, even the children attorney don't want any evidence in court, and the court appointed attorneys 100% of the time they agree with the social workers, and they agree with the kids attorneys. So they cannot get their needs met, especially as a parent, unless they hire a private attorney. And some of them can't find any means to hire a private attorney. And even families, they destroy the family connection by turning the relatives against the mother, so that way she or he or the parent itself, so that way they're crippled, they can't get any help, they can't do anything, because they turn the family against itself. And that's the strategy of CPS. That's everywhere in the United States. Has nothing to do with Texas or Chicago or Illinois or whatever. It doesn't matter. That's how they do things everywhere in the United States.
You
And
know, I'm going to put something up for a minute. This is from Cassandra, and it was for you, Mrs. G. It says, if you cannot afford an attorney, you have the right to have one appointed to you in a felony Class A misdemeanor, Class B misdemeanor, juvenile, or direct appeal case. Texas Code Crim Pro 1.051B.
I've lost my
You,
pen and paper. May I screenshot that
of
you
course.
so
can
I
listen
can?
to it later, honey, after the show.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go ahead and pull that up because I've been trying to find the different parts of the Texas code. Back to the
Now, let me just say this,
back to what
Mrs.
you were saying.
Mrs. G. Hold on a second. Slow down.
Oh, that's what I was
What?
saying. Back to what you were saying before that.
Okay, slow down, Miss G. Mrs. G. I want to say something. Cassandra is not a lawyer, but she's a research person
Yeah.
that we use. Now, I'm not telling you that this is the law in Texas, but there's a pretty good chance that it might be, and that you need to talk to a lawyer about this. Because what this says is that you should have a free juvenile attorney. And
That's the
That's what I
federal
thought.
rule.
maybe you might be in some, county in Texas where they're kind of like, doing something perhaps that's not,
Quite legal.
well, I didn't know how to put it, but okay, I'll take.
I'm right there with you. There's been a lot that they have to answer for.
Okay. And Miss Cassandra says she just Googled it. Now, there are those of us that says Google knows all, but but Google's not right 100% of the time. But this is something that you should, this whole show is videotaped. It'll be posted on, 8 different social media platforms and sites. So you can always go back and watch this again. And when
Bless
you
you.
go
you.
talk to your attorney or an attorney just for perhaps a consultation, right? A free consultation or a $50 consultation, you take this quote that Cassandra put up there, and you get some information about why you don't have an attorney. And, maybe your husband wanted a private attorney in his criminal case, but it sounds like, he might have been entitled to a free attorney as well. And I'm not saying he should have one. A lot of people don't want to take the chance about going to jail with a public defender, right? They want their own private attorney. And if his attorney is saying the case is going to be dismissed, well, it sounds like he's doing his job, right? I don't know. I don't know anything about the case, but
Yeah,
I
he
love
just got his attorney a week ago.
Okay. Good.
Yeah,
All
it's
right.
a lot to save up for. When we had saved up, he got the attorney. Within 48 hours, he was arrested.
Mhm.
So the attorney had to refund so we could post bail.
Right.
And we've been saving ever since because bail's expensive.
How old is your daughter?
She's 11.
11.
She'll be turning 12 in a few months.
Mm. And how old is your son again?
He's 4.
But I don't understand how they can keep one child and take the other child. That's what I don't understand.
Neither do I.
And there's one more thing. How can they actually say the child said that, but there's no proof, like video of the child confession to the social worker?
That's what I'm still trying to figure out.
Let me tell you why I'm saying that, if I may, Davis, unless you want to talk right now.
Well, I just wanted to say that in a juvenile dependency case, CPS case, generally there doesn't have to be corroborating evidence. The kid can just say, Daddy, molested me. And if the judge believes the kid over the dad, the judge can find it true. Now, that's different from a criminal case. right? But the most important thing is what this woman said, Mrs. G said. She's got evidence that nobody's looking at, and that's because she's representing herself, which might be a constitutional violation. But she needs to get that evidence before the judge. Go ahead, Miss G.
I wonder if a federal judge is listening to this show right now. What would he or she say about them not providing her with legal representation?
I don't think the judge would say anything.
A
It's not,
federal judge would not say anything?
I don't think so. Judges, stay in their lane. They don't get involved unless they have a case before them and they're asked to make a decision about disputed fact or law. So, there's this whole thing in our Constitution about, what are the limits of a judge's power? A judge can't just see something on TV and decide, oh, I'm going to go do something about it. They don't have that kind of power.
I'm not saying that they would do something about it. I'm just saying, what if they're watching or not? What do you think will go in their head? Like,
oh, I don't know.
Is this really happening? Is it because I believe in the United States, everyone is entitled to representation. Whether or not they can afford it, one will be provided for them. That's just what I see happening. Now, if the family are dangerous to the children, they wouldn't just take one child and keep one. Okay, that's number one. Number two, I have told you guys several times that I do interact with a lot of kids who grew up in the system. And Cassandra knows who I'm talking about because Cassandra also does shows with me. Now, those kids revealed so much information when they were younger that the social workers and the police forced them to speak. And when the kid says nothing mom and dad did, then they would try to convince them that they did something. And it would be 7 hours of interrogation to a child, right? The child gets really upset. Then they start saying, okay, fine. That's all they need is fine. And then that's it. Then they go to the judge, right? Then they go to the judge and say, the child said. Bullshit. We have somebody that retained our office on Saturday. And hopefully he's watching. Him and his wife love each other. Okay. He raised his daughter from age 0. The father was in and out of jail, the biological dad. So he became her dad. The child called him father, dad, every day. Very close to her dad. Now, the mother, the father is a salesman, car salesman. He came home with a car that was from the dealership, right? The mother saw a phone, and that phone had pictures of ladies, young ladies. She confronted him when they were putting gas or some public place. And she said, you child molester, she's young enough to be your daughter. And she got so jealous thinking that's his property. And he kept calming her down like, this is not my phone. The customer must have left it there because he takes people to drive cars for test driving, right? So the customer must have left it there. And she didn't believe. Anyway, she got hysterical. Then somebody from the public place heard that she said, you're child molester. So what they did is they called 911. 911 got involved. The child is 8 years old. She was interrogated from 10 o'clock at night at the police freaking station for 7.5 hours. And they kept telling her, if you tell us, if you do this, if you do that. So what the child did, she gave them a story from Roblox. It's a game. It's called Roblox.
Yeah.
So the Roblox have different entities, right? Different games. Like you have, Simpsons, and you have this and you have that. So she took a story from the Roblox thing, and she gave it to them. As in, it's in Roblox. It's actually a story. I play Roblox. I know what he's talking about. So I know, I can relate. Okay? So anyway, she took that story and she said, yeah, I saw my dad, I saw my mom put my dad's head in the toilet. That's in actual game. That story's in the freaking game. The reason she said that is because they told her, you're not going to go home and sleep unless you tell us what mommy or daddy did to each other. So the child being 8 years old, she's tired, right? I mean, you would be tired too if you're there for more than 7 hours, especially an 8-year-old. Woke her up from her sleep, interrogating her without an adult and without an attorney present, right? So CPS comes in, moves in, and took the child. Now, the child is saying, I made up the whole thing because I wanted to go sleep, but you guys lied to me, and now I want to go home to mommy and daddy. You understand the point I'm trying to make? So the child, sometimes the children are forced just to have peace because the child's mind thinks, okay, if I just give them a story, I'm gonna go home. But he or she doesn't understand the consequences behind words because they're only kids. Same thing with your child. There's no evidence stating that the child actually said what the child said. It could
Correct.
all be made up because you have no proof, but the judges are there to take the recommendation of a social worker, any social worker. I have no trust for them. To me, in my eyes, they're all
Same here.
scumbags. So therefore, that's having an attorney. I'm not talking about court-appointed attorney. I disagree with Davis on that. There is no good court-appointed attorneys. I'm sorry. There is none. So me personally would recommend you talk to your family and friends, anybody, even neighbors, to have you help you financially to get an attorney. And I understand it might be tough for you, obviously, financially, and I understand that part, but find a way to make it happen. Another
My
thing I
mom
wanted to
actually put up her house as collateral to help
help you.
husband post bail, and she loaned us a few $1,000s already.
Yeah,
We've kind of tapped it out to get one lawyer, and a lot of the family lawyers are actually tied to. They're already like court appointed. They said something very strange to me at the beginning. They said, you can't hire this one, 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 and this one, because they're already. Yeah, it didn't make a lot of sense to me at the time. I'm still sorting through that. I'm hoping tomorrow, since it's not a holiday anymore, I can actually go through that list and see if there's any that would, because it's gotten to the point where we can't anymore.
just keep in mind, $2,000 is not going to be enough to handle your case.
No, it's not.
And
It's nearly
also,
10.
well, we don't know, but also keep in mind that you need a juvenile dependency attorney. Oftentimes I hear that in other states, well, in California too, I shouldn't say others, well, in all the states, court appoint a private attorney that understands juvenile cases are afraid to take in that step. The reason being because and I heard that from a couple of attorneys in California, the reason for that is because they want to be judges one day. They don't want to cross the state. They want to keep their availability, like they want to expand their career. And 3 attorneys in California told me the same thing because I told them to watch my shows and I told them who I was and I wanted to ask them questions and I wasn't going to reveal their names. And they disclosed to me the real truth. And it came from 3 different attorneys that they don't know anything about each other, but they were family law attorneys that also understand juvenile cases. So when they took on several cases in their career, they told me that they couldn't really fight because they were afraid. So people, I've never shared this with Davis, but as God is my witness, when I share this shit with you guys, is because I did my research and I did talk to people who are actual lawyers. So keep in mind that to get a court-appointed attorney, especially a good one, is very rare. And I think one of them that was good probably got hit by a bus at some point in life. Because right now there is none. Okay, so attorneys are reluctant. So when you meet an attorney that wants to fight the Department of Child Services, doesn't give a shit about them, they actually care about the person, it's not going to be, oh yeah, give me 2,500, you're good to go. No, you have to understand that that 2,500 is going to be more than that. And oftentimes I see clients or potential clients that call us, they're like, oh, is the 2,500 going to be enough, or the 3,500 going to be enough? No, it's not. I'm not going to lie and say it is. No, it's not. And oftentimes people don't understand that you have more rights as a criminal than you do as a parent. And Davis says this all the time. And also, for a parent who hasn't been found guilty yet, right? They're already on the state CACI list. Why in the name of God are they on the state CACI list, the registry list, for abuse or sexual abuse, when you haven't even gotten to the point to even defend yourself or to show your innocence, right? But when you have the evidence to show your innocence, guess what they do? They don't want to submit it into court as evidence. They wanted to keep it silent. They withhold evidence, right? Withhold the truth. And then what do the judges do? Nothing. All they do, well, what's your recommendation? What's your recommendation? Oh, okay. That's it. There is no checks and balances. I swear to God, if I was a judge, I'll be like, okay, so where's the evidence that proves what you just said is true? Show me something. Show me something. I didn't go to law school. I didn't, my career was not into being a judge or an attorney. I was more into finance, banking, all that. But damn, I wish I would. I think I would have been a great judge. Judge Judy was a juvenile dependency attorney. Judge. Judge Judy, back in 1970 something, for years. She was a kick-ass judge. I watched several of her videos, and she actually would tell the social workers, now I don't believe you. I want to see evidence. I want to see where you got to that point. I would have been a freaking great judge, because there's no way they can pull a fast one on me. No way. Judge Judy was hated by social workers. They hated her so much that they wished she would leave, because she was always on top of things. When you're hated, that's when you know you're doing your job. When that example, if you work in a corporate office and everybody in the office hates you, that means you're doing your job. If you're not hated and they all loved you, that means you're a piece of shit just like them.
Ms. G,
And
hold on a second. Hold on a second. Slow your roll, girl. Slow
I'm
your
sorry,
roll.
I get heated when I talk about CPS. You know that already. I don't know why you.
I understand.
I thought you were going to ask a question.
I'm sorry, but I had to make a point. I had to make a point, because she's saying that her daughter said. Her daughter didn't say. There is no proof. So I had to give her an example. I had to give her
All right, hold on.
something to think about.
Slow down, because we're running out of time on the show. We do have time limits we have to adhere to. Mrs. G, I want to thank you for being on the show and sharing your story this evening. It's very much appreciated. And if you want to talk to me privately offline, please call Miss G and she'll arrange that for you, okay?
I'm going to give her a number of an attorney in Texas that I know.
Okay,
Okay.
very good. Have you ever seen,
Right.
Mrs. G, have you ever seen my YouTube channel?
My mother-in-law actually found you recently, and we've been delving into it because we are at wit's end trying to peacefully fight, because CPS.
The reason why I ask you that is we have a video of an attorney who joined me as a guest one evening. He's a lawyer in Texas, and I forget his name. I think it's Matthew.
Matthew Harris.
Yeah, Matthew Harris. And I talked to Matthew on the show and offline.
Mhm.
He definitely knows the issues. He appeared to be a good lawyer, a good fighter. So I'm going to ask you to Google his name tonight and try to find him there in the state of Texas. Okay, Mrs. G, thank you very much, and keep us posted what's going on. Okay. All right.
Just call me. I'll give you his information. Okay.
All right, Ms. G. Before we sign off tonight, did you have any other questions that you wanted to ask me?
You emphasize questions.
Yeah, I didn't want any more comments, just questions this evening. I'm trying to keep the schedule going, you know.
How I need to ask you a question about the khaki list. So it's lawful, I guess, to put parents on the khaki list, registry list for sexual abuse when they haven't been proven yet.
Well, it's a little bit more complicated than that. The way the law is set up is that if you can be put on the khaki list without your permission, but they have to give you notice and an opportunity to challenge that. What's happened in the past, they were just putting people on the khaki list and never telling them.
I know, but
And then some of these people found out about lawsuits, for constitutional violations for no notice. And, they were getting themselves removed. Now you can get yourself removed from khaki, even if they do give you notice, if it's not true. So a lot of people don't challenge because they don't have to. It's not going to affect their job or their lifestyle, but it does affect a lot of people, especially down the road. Say one day you decide you want to become a kindergarten school teacher or something, or a Boy Scout, leader or something like that. It's going to affect you. So you need to challenge these things early.
so is there hope for people that are on the khaki list that they didn't know?
Yes, absolutely.
What if it's happening like 10 years ago and they just found out about it because they want to open a daycare center or
Miss
something
G,
like
yeah, that's what usually happens. Miss G, I said there is hope. I said that there's something they can do about it.
that? Okay, I have another question. Is that okay?
Absolutely, Miss G.
You're so fake tonight, Vincent. Okay. So, do you believe that in Los Angeles, that the LA Board of Supervisors um, are the heads of the Department of Child Services?
Yes.
And do you believe? Okay, so basically that is. So basically, Governor Newsom's job is to give them money for more lawyers.
Give them who?
Give the court. It says that they. So basically, what they do, the LA Board of Supervisors request money from Governor Newsom to fund the courts for attorneys. Like
Okay, well,
LA.
that's not how it works.
Okay, how does it work?
The state legislature has control over the funding, and Governor Newsom can approve or disapprove it.
But still, he has to approve it, right?
But it's like one of those things. It can be just straight out give them more attorneys, or it could be tied to other legislation where he might have to give to get kind of
So
thing.
so they go to him to approve it, basically, because he has to approve it,
Sometimes,
correct?
sometimes.
So basically, the corruption starts everywhere.
No, I disagree with that statement.
Of course you would. Of course you would. But it's okay. Agree to disagree. No worries.
I've only been doing this 35 years, thousands of cases, but that's just my humble opinion.
Right. That's your humble opinion as an attorney.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of stuff that happens behind closed doors, you're not aware of.
Absolutely. I agree. I agree 100%. But when it happens behind closed doors, you don't know about it either.
No. There's a lot of people that actually know about it, Davis, because as an attorney, you're looking at it a certain way than I do, obviously. The department is corrupt. The courts are corrupt. Social workers are corrupt.
Miss G,
Period.
If you had a couple more questions, I'd be happy to take those before we sign off, because as you can see from the timer, we have about 30 seconds left.
I guess I don't have any questions.
Well,
and that's not cool what you just did, by the way, but it's okay.
Yeah. All right, Miss G, thank you for being co-host this evening. It's always a pleasure.
You keep
And
doing
everyone watching on the 8 social media platforms, thank you for watching. And we will see you tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Pacific time with another show. Hopefully, we will have Miss G back. And Miss G, I've been thinking about Miss Cassandra. I miss Miss Cassandra.
I do too.
Do you think she'd be interested in joining us back on these shows?
Absolutely. I would love her on those shows. I love Cassandra extremely much.
Okay, so why don't you do me a favor? Have you or Grace contact her and see if she can join us tomorrow night.
Aw,
Okay?
you too, baby.
Oh,
She's
look at
watching the
this.
show, so
You
she's
know.
okay. She's good.
Okay. All right, folks. Good night, and we'll see you tomorrow at 7 p.m. Pacific. Thank you.